Yo, what's up YouTube? Brian Van Dyne here for those of you that don't know me. Today I would like to talk to you guys about how to find work for your dump truck and how to stay busy working and making profit in a dump truck. I'd like to start off by basically giving you some of my history, and then we'll go into how I prefer to find work and how it worked with my business, right? So I've been in business for 5 years, and I think my advice on this particular subject is very good advice because when I started my business, I had zero dump truck experience. I had never worked for a dump truck company before. I had never been in a gravel pit before. I literally had zero experience when I started my dump truck business. So this is basically, if you do what I'm telling you, you're almost guaranteed to succeed. Like, you can't mess this up if you do exactly like I'm telling you. And so let's dive in head first, right? So I started my business. I had zero experience. One of the things I did to find work before I started my business is I had started talking to people before I started my business. Every person I met, I brought up my business. I'm like, hey, yo, I bought a dump truck. Eventually, I'm going to be starting a dump truck business. It's not ready right now, but, it's going to be ready. And I made sure I told everybody that. Every single person. Like, to the extent of, like, when I bought some used semi rims, I even brought it up to that guy, right? And that, long story short, my first day, I ended up getting work from that guy, right? So, one of the biggest ways to get work for your dump truck is communicating, right? You got to communicate that you provide a service. You got to communicate that to everybody you know and everybody you meet. It sounds, stupid, but really that is like one of the biggest keys to having work as a dump truck driver is people have to know what you do. Like, they can't just read your mind, right? And if you don't bring it up, then it ain't important, right? Just remember that, right? So another thing that I did when I first started my business is I made a list. Now, I messed up on my list. If I could go back 5 years, I would change one thing about my list, right? When I wrote my list, I focused mainly, and this is like a cold calling list, right? So I was like, okay, I have a dump truck. I need to call other dump truckers because they know where the work's at because they're working, right? I would change that one thing. I would change it to, instead of calling other companies that do the exact same thing I do, which wasn't bad, but it wasn't the best idea. If I would have switched that one thing to calling companies that hire dump trucks, such as excavation companies, road crews, paving companies, basically companies that require dump trucks, but because they don't use them every day, they don't own one. Or maybe they do own one, but they have so many projects going on that their truck's constantly working and they have need of other rental trucks, right? So I would change my list because I did include excavation contractors on my list, but it wasn't like the main focus. In my mind, I was thinking, okay, the world is amazing. Everybody's nice. This isn't cutthroat. I didn't know none of this stuff, right? I was very, 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 very naive, right? And most people are when they start their business. They don't realize how tricky some people can be and how conniving and, that's just the way the industry works, right? And you're going to find there are very nice people in the industry, and you're going to find those people that will stab you in the back and slit your throat and do all that crazy stuff, right? But I was so naive when I first started, so I didn't really think like, oh, I'm calling all my competition. I didn't really realize that's what I was really doing, right? Oh, I'm calling all my competition to let them know that I'm coming for them. The last thing you want to do for your competition is let them know, hey, bro, I'm coming for you. You know what I mean? Because then they're going to be like, oh, this guy's coming for work. That's competition, you know? Like, and I get a lot of people asking me, too, like, hey, Brian, can I go ride along? I want to work for your business because I want to start a dump truck business. Like, bro, dude, I get the idea, but here's the thing. If you want to start your own business in dump trucking, you don't want to work for me because I'm your competition. I don't want you to work for me, right? So let me get back. Let me regress. So make a list of all of the contractors you see ever. That was one of the things I did but for my list was every time I seen a dump truck, I wrote down that dump truck name on a piece of paper. And then I went back and I looked up their phone number. Back in the day when I first started, Yellow Pages was like, it was kind of a thing, but it was mostly getting phased out. Yellow Books was getting phased out. But, you know, Google was like, you know, it's on fire. Google's fire today, too. You know, everybody knows without Google, like, I mean, what are you going to use? You know, you got to find contacts and stuff. Other than your own two eyes, you know, you can type in on Google excavation companies near me, and you're going to get a list of all the people that paid Google for advertising or have websites, and it, you know, they did the search engine optimization thing. But that is, you know, asking Google who the excavation companies is okay, but I don't think it is the best route to go because you're going to get a lot of people that aren't even really in your area that possibly don't even use the dump truck service, like I'm saying. So what you want to do is when you're out driving around doing your daily job, you know, and you see, I don't know, like let's just say a road crew, right? And you see a dump truck sitting there and it's not their dump truck. Okay, you need to write down that excavation company's name, and then, well, there's two ways to go about it. You can write down their name and then look them up and then call the main office, right? That's one option. Or, you know, depending on if you're driving your personal rig or, you know, if obviously if you're working for somebody, you're not going to stop and, you know, waste your company's time that you're working for. But a lot of times when you're out running errands and you just see something, do not be afraid to get out of your personal rig, park it, walk over there. Obviously, you want to look somewhat professional if you're doing this type of interaction with somebody, because first impressions are they're usually never forgotten, right? So you don't want to screw up on your first impression. You can walk over to them and say, hey, yo, I mean, probably not with those words. You can say, excuse me, sir. My name is Brian Van Dyne. I just started a dump truck business, and I noticed that you guys, looks like you're hiring rental trucks. I'd like to give you my contact information, and, you know, please give me a call, and we'll make things happen, you know, and usually they'll ask you, okay, well, you know, where are you from? Where are you out of? How long you been in business? You know, they'll ask you a couple filter questions, you know, what kind of truck you got, you know. Obviously, if you got an aluminum box, you're not going to be hauling concrete chunks, right? So there's a couple filter questions, you know. But it just goes down to having the willingness to interact with complete strangers. You got to have that as a business owner. You got You cannot have the mindset of, I'm never going to talk to anybody that I don't know. If you have that mindset, don't even think about being a business owner, right? Business owners, you have to be able to talk to people that you don't know. You have to get out of that little comfort zone that a lot of people have, and you have to be willing to talk to people that you know nothing about them, So that's one of the key things to finding work for your dump truck, right? And so this isn't something that you just automatically just have, right? When I was growing up, right, I'm not a big social person, right? I had a big birthmark on my head. I hated a lot of people because, a lot of people made fun of me because of my birthmark and all this. And, I was basically a loner loser. That's who I was when I was growing up, right? And if you ask anybody that knew me back in high school, they will tell you the exact same thing. Oh, he was kind of a loner. Everybody made fun of him. Nobody, really liked Brian. That was my life growing up, right? So I was not the popular person. I was not the type of person that goes and talks to everybody, right? But as a member of the church I belong to, I ended up going to a foreign country and trying to interact with people that I did not know. I didn't even speak their language, right? And then, I'm trying to convince them. I'm trying to, explain to them things that I believe, So, you have to develop these skills. A lot of you people will not have these skills right out the gate. It's something that you have to develop, right? This is like talking to a camera on YouTube. A lot of you people, you can't even have a conversation with yourself on a camera, right? And you think you want to run a business. It's like, okay, well, wait a second here. If you can't even talk to yourself on a camera, then it's going to be a lot harder for you to talk to other people. And I'll never forget my turning point. It almost seemed like a one instance kind of switch in my life that just changed my perspective on talking to people. And I'll never forget it. And I'm not trying to be preachy or nothing, right? But I was sitting on a bus and I was thinking to myself, I'm here for 2 years. I was probably like 6 months in, or let's see. I was about 6 months in, so I probably had a year and a half left. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm in this foreign country. Nobody knows me, right? I'm over here. My purpose is to teach people about what I believe, right? How am I going to teach somebody what I believe if I'm not just open to at least starting the conversation with somebody that I don't even know? I know nothing about them. How can I start a conversation with somebody? How can I build the courage to just start a conversation with somebody? And I'll never forget, I had that experience and I was like, you know what? I've cared enough what people say about in my life. I don't care anymore. I don't care what people think anymore about me. I've already heard every single opinion about me under the sun. Nobody's going to tell me something different that I haven't already heard. So you know what? I just said, you know what, Brian, you cannot care what people think about you. You just got to be able to start a conversation. If you can't start the conversation, then nothing's ever going to come of it. But if you're willing to at least give that small attempt to start a conversation, it might go somewhere, right? And so it's the same in business, right? If you are not willing to at least try and call somebody, there's no way you're going to find work. That's just the cold hard truth. If you're not willing to go talk to somebody that you don't know, you're probably not going to find work, right? And if you think that you can get enough work just by talking to the people you know, you are sadly mistaken. Sadly mistaken. Because most of the people you know, they don't even want you to succeed, right? They don't even want you to do well. Because secretly, deep down, they're going to get jealous. Once you start killing it, most of the people are going to be like, oh, Brian's over here doing this and that. And it's like, I never thought he would do this. And, now he's over there. I wish I could do that, and they get that type of mindset. But so you need to be able to interact with complete strangers. That is like so important when you are running your business. Number one, because this world that we live in is so massive and there's so many people in this world. You are a piece of sand in the ocean. That's how small you are. Nobody's going to know about you until you start speaking up. That's just the key. That is the biggest key to finding work for your dump truck, right? So I was on my mission. I decided, you know what? Screw it. I don't care what other people think. I'm going to start the conversation from now on. I'm never going to let somebody hold me back, just because I'm intimidated on what they're going to say to me. I already know what they're going to say, like I've already heard it all. If they say something different, then whoa, we'll go from there, Maybe they'll, they want to have a conversation about it. Then let's do it, It's exciting. It's, but when you first go to do it, you're gonna have those instances where you feel like, what's the point? Or, I already know what they're gonna say, so why bother? You cannot let those thoughts dominate your thoughts, because then you will not do well in business, right? A lot of people are their own worst enemy when it comes to running their own business, because they say to themselves, they start brainwashing themselves by saying, there's no work. I seen Joe Schmo sitting, so if he can't find work, I can't find work. There's no work. I've seen so many people brainwash themselves into saying, I can't find a driver. I've tried finding drivers. Nobody can find drivers, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's heard this negative thinking, this negative think. Everybody's heard it, and everybody's done it. I can't find a driver, so I might as well do this, or I might as well do that. So by saying negative things like that, you automatically cut your drive in half. Probably 3/4. Like, you automatically just cut your potential in half, because now you don't have the same energy as somebody that's just like, you know what, let's just go for it. People notice your energy. People notice it. They pick up on it, whether you want to or not. If you're negative, and you say, I can never find a driver, when you go to hire drivers, they're going to notice that you can never find drivers, probably because you're an idiot, probably because you're negative about everything, or you don't keep your equipment up. They're going to pick up on those cues. Everybody has these cues, whether you like to admit it or not. Everybody has signs and signals, and it's just like playing poker. Everybody's got, tries to put their poker face on, but they still all got cues, right? Everybody's got tells, like they call it, like they say it. So when you're starting your business, my advice, if you want to be successful, and I can say this 100% guaranteeing that you will be successful if you do this, if you make a list of all the people that could use your dump truck, and you start contacting them, and you start emailing them or calling them. Personally, I think in-person visits are the best way to interact with somebody. Phone calls, emails, texts, that stuff all gets left by the wayside if you compare it to face-to-face interactions, right? If you got a vibe and they got a vibe and the vibes just mesh together, boom, you're working, guaranteed. If you show up and you talk to somebody and they get a bad vibe, they ain't calling you. But if you have a good vibe, the chances of you getting work from them are way higher. Way higher. So I would even be willing to say that even if you have a first interaction with somebody and they get the vibe that you're a little nervous, that's okay. Being nervous is okay. The fact that you're trying to talk to somebody, you're trying to get out there, that shows initiative. And people love initiative. Another thing. So when you call the company, when you're doing a cold call, a lot of you guys, you go the extra step and you try and do a cold call. Here's why you fail. Because normally when you do a cold call, you don't speak to the right person. You speak to the receptionist or the lady that don't give a crap about your service. Because she gets 20 other million calls and she's trying to send calls to him and him and him and her, and they suck at relaying messages, right? That's their job, is to relay a message, but they honestly suck big time at relaying messages. So first thing you need to do when you call that company, you need to ask, and you need to say, hey, hi, my name is Brian Van Dyne. May I speak with the person in charge of dispatching rental dump trucks? Or, say something along those lines. Like, hey, can I speak to the foreman of the job site? Or, I have a rental dump truck service and I'm trying to get into contact with the person that is responsible for dispatching rental dump trucks. Do you guys hire rental dump trucks? And then you ask that question. A lot of you people just say, hey, you do the cold call like this. Hi, my name is Brian Van Dyne. I got a rental dump truck service. I'm out of Graham. Feel free to call me if you guys need a rental dump truck. Hang up. She forgot about you 10 seconds later when she takes the next call. She didn't write your number down. She don't give a crap about you. She ain't relaying you to the boss because nothing stood out. And it's almost like dating, right? When you go on a date with a woman, if you don't make some sort of impression or something that stood out, you blend in with everybody else. It's black and white. You're gray. Nobody sees you. So you got to make some sort of impact on that phone. And one of the best things you can do is have confidence in yourself. And if you don't have confidence, this is realistically what you need to do. You need to write down on a piece of paper and practice in front of a mirror. Like, if you really are that afraid of cold calling or contacting somebody, if you don't have the balls to do it, write down on a piece of paper, hi, my name is Joe Schmo. I just started my dump truck business. I'm in this area. May I speak with the truck dispatcher? All those types of things. You need to write it down and practice in front of a mirror until you cannot screw it up. And, okay, so here's the next lesson. If you want to get work, you have to know how to listen to understand, right? When you're talking to somebody, you got to pick up on their cues. If they're busy, and you can tell they're busy, don't waste their time, right? Value their time. Say, hey, I understand you're busy, you're on a job. Let me get your phone number. I'll text you all my information, and then you call me when you're busy, when you're not busy, right? You got to pick up on those cues. There's tons of social cues, right? When you're running a business, it's just not cut and dry. It's not, everything's political, right? You can't just call somebody, go to work, and get your paycheck. I wish it was that easy, but it's not. So, another thing to keep in mind is business is cutthroat. It's competitive. If you ain't trying to contact those customers, somebody else is. Because they got bills they're paying and they want the work more than you do. So unless you want it more than them, you're not going to get the work. It's that simple. So, honestly, guys, I think that's the best advice I can give you for finding work as a owner-operator dump trucker. I know a lot of you are going to say, well, yeah, that's common sense. Well, duh. Well, duh. All of this is common sense, and everything I have just said, you already knew it. But you think there's something special, something a hidden secret that you just want to try and find out. And there is. There are a couple of hidden secrets. You're going to have to watch all my other videos to find those hidden secrets. And once you watch them, you're going to find out the hidden techniques that you need to get those customers. But unless you watch all the videos on my playlists, you're not going to learn nothing. You're not going to know it all, right? So check out the dump truck playlists. Check out the frequently asked questions. Check out the dump truck history playlist. That is literally from when I bought the dump truck, before I even bought the dump truck, to now, 5 years in business. Don't forget to pound that like button and pound that subscribe button and share this on your social media site of preference, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.